Welcome to today's edition of LendTech Briefing. I'm Pamela Herman, aka The Hermanator, VP of Marketing at Mortgage Cadence, and I'm here with Richard Scheig, Senior VP of Sales at BombBomb. Richard.
Thanks, Pamela.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Richard, tell us about BombBomb. What's the story?
BombBomb, it's a great story. We've got a really great software solution that we believe is changing the way salespeople communicate with their customers and prospects. And the whole underlying theme of it is that we've kind of lost our way a bit with this digitization of communications, the marketing automation, all the infrastructure that we have to be more bot-like, more robotic. The premise is if you can bring the human back and humanize that particular correspondence, and it really is going to change the way in which selling can be done through a relationship. So there's a drumbeat around rehumanizing the planet. So there's this great underlying ethos within the organization.
I love that because video has this really weird effect where people feel like they know the person on video. So it kind of fast tracks rapport building, yes?
It does, it does. It's interesting, there's a lot of science around why it does so, and it triggers a part of the brain that is more that intuition, that gut, in some ways that non-rational thinking. So you immediately make a connection based on how you feel, and it just draws that relationship closer, and it brings some humanity back to what is otherwise a pretty boring text on white screen interaction.
Yeah, this is, I nerd out on brain science, so you're speaking right into my passion, which is trying to understand from a sales perspective, how do we get through the brain past these little stopgaps that create fear, right? Like, this person's talking to me, they want something from me, do I have to be afraid of them? Do I need to retreat? Video creates that interesting wall where you're just watching them, there's nothing to fear. They're on video, it's a two-dimensional media, and so, and at the same time you can see their personality, and it's like, do I like them? Do I want to do business with them?
Yeah, so true. It's it breaks down those walls in a lot of different ways. There's this vulnerability that comes through, and it also ignites what they call in neuromotics the lizard brain aspect of things, right? Which is, I want to hear my name, I want to see the shiny and bright, it's going to draw my attention to it, and then if you can get them in that first 10, 15 seconds, then they're more likely to engage with you, and then they realize at the end of this communication is a real person. So it makes the difference for salespeople to use this, because at the end of the day, it's all about engagement and solving problems for them.
I've had I've done a lot of videos in the past, and I've had an interesting thing happen where I might go to a show or a conference, somebody will recognize me and they'll come up and they'll give me a hug as if they know me. And it's really kind of that interesting barrier that you're crossing over. So for salespeople to fast track through rapport building straight into relationship, I mean, that's something that for a lot of people, for most people, it takes a long time to get to a point where you relationally trust somebody, and so for you guys to accelerate that compresses the sales cycle, right?
Yeah, it does indeed. It's a quick story around this. Jerry and Molly, who are leading the charge at this next event here, utilized BombBomb to help promote the event and so forth. And then we would correspond as we were coordinating our participation, our support for the event via video. And the first thing that we did when we met each other yesterday is give each other a hug, because we knew each other, right?
Right.
So it broke down that barrier. And real estate and mortgage, bringing the humanity back, bringing that relationship building back to it is a big deal. And you think about it, it's a pretty emotional purchase, if not the most emotional purchase, and just assuaging the fears through a complex process and being able to communicate more clearly via videos is working wonders for our customers.
So how are you seeing that the industry can best benefit, not just from a real estate perspective, but on the mortgage lending side? How do we use a tool like video to really elevate our work?
Yeah, you can I kind of think at it systematically. There's really three big processes that we can help out in the lending environment. One is, how do you, at the beginning of the cycle, when you've got a new lead or a prospect, how do you connect with them immediately? And there's some automation that still leverages video that you can do once you get a lead from a Zillow Mortgage or a Home Scout, so you can bring video right to the forefront early in the process. during the loan process itself and an in-app environment, there's all sorts of recorded once and then used many times,
Right.
evergreen or in the can videos that again connect that LO to that person. Or frankly, if there's bad news, if there's tricky things and you can't get them in person or you can't get them on the phone, then leaving a video so you can express that empathy into the equation is a big part of it. And then on the tail end of it, downstream is like, how do you ignite that referral base, that agent community, that professional network that is paramount to growing that side of the business. So all three phases, there's tons of really phenomenal use cases in the lending business.
Well, I'm fascinated by this idea because I think about the borrower survey that we conduct here at Mortgage Cadence every year, where we're just trying to understand the borrower experience and where can we go in and polish the rock. And one of the findings from our most recent survey told us that on average borrowers weren't hearing from a lender for 3 days after that initial apply now button was clicked. Not even an acknowledgement of thank you, we received it, we're processing, we'll be in touch.
Right.
So when you're talking about automation and how it is that we use video to say, thank you, welcome, here's what's going on behind the scenes, I think is a deal maker.
Yeah, that's a great use case. And you can have that kind of ready-made that still makes that personal connection. It's personal, but it's not personalized to that unique individual yet, right? But it still makes that initial connection in a wonderful way.
Right, well, and I can imagine a company, even like the president or the head of the division of loans delivering that and saying, you're really valuable to us, here's what we're doing, and almost starting to set the expectations for what this loan process is going to look like. All of a sudden the borrower is feeling like, oh, somebody cares, there's somebody there.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, so the reality is the products that everybody's selling are by and large pretty much the same. And the way that most lenders are trying to differentiate is either via technology, culture, and really the relationship aspect of it. And while BombBomb solution kind of encompasses all those, where it really comes to life is being able to portray what that unique value proposition is. So the brand is using video as a medium to at least talk about why their business is important and what's unique about it, and again, humanize that element of it. It's also a really cool use case around that is the leaders in organizations are also communicating internally using this medium. So instead of a kind of white text or a black text on white background and sending out a newsletter, if there's a video component, it helps kind of reinforce the culture. It's got that authenticity that sometimes is missing from that other form of communication.
Yeah,
so there's a kind of a groundswell that occurs within an organization when they use it across all those different mediums.
What sort of objections do you get when you're talking to prospective clients?
Yeah, it's the classic one is I don't like how I look on video, right? And so I
realized, Richard, when I first started doing, I have like a lazy eye, and so it's just weird. And you look at your body language, and it's like you don't like the sound of your voice. It's painful.
It is painful. It's so here's the reality. How you look on video, how we look right now in this interview, is how you look in real life. So there's this this thing, like I got to get over it. You got to get over it. But obviously education is a big part of it. Getting comfortable quick on camera. There's tips and tricks to, where and how you place the camera. What's the right lighting? It's perfect here, I'm sure. But always, using this device here, it doesn't always come out perfectly. So just getting people comfortable with the basics. And then frankly, for me, it's just how do you get a couple quick win use cases where somebody realizes that by sending a 15-second video, I'm actually impacting that consumer on the other line. And the consumer could say, hey, cool response. I really love how you're communicating with me. So something as simple as that is a huge driver of then subsequent behavior. So start small, get into more complex scenarios. And we have LOs that literally send thousands and thousands of videos. And 75% of the time they're communicating. If they can't be there in person, if they can't connect on the phone, it's via video versus email.
I love that. So you integrate with what other types of systems within an operational process?
Yeah, more and more. Organizationally, we have 75 plus integrations, and they kind of fall within those three buckets I mentioned earlier. So lead capture mechanisms, top of the funnel type stuff, so Zillow Mortgage, Home Scout, these types of front end systems. And whatever's being generated by interest and web forms. So we can capture that interest and intent early and integrate with that auto response as we talked about. And then down process with Salesforce, with Total Expert, with, we're talking with Vantage and Top of Mind and, Ellie Mae companies, Mortgage Cadence, or Mortgage Returns, et cetera. And then some marketing automation solutions on the downstream for that nurture marketing piece. We really don't have a play. We were talking earlier about Mortgage Cadence, about other LOS type solutions. That's not really a play for us, but point of sale scenarios where there's communication with the customer and you want to bring that human aspect, there might be some opportunity for us to play that. We play in those types of systems in real estate, so dot loops and the DocuSign kind of scenarios in real estate.
I identified a gap having bought and sold residential real estate in that I only know my real estate agent and then the closing agent. My lender really is kind of a ghost in the transaction. Somewhere behind that curtain that person lives, and I always felt like that was a missed opportunity now understanding the industry the way I do.
Yeah.
So how can lenders kind of come forward from behind the curtain and insert themselves so they can start to build a relationship with a future, customer, not just for the loan but for other products?
Yeah, that's a great question. The idea of disintermediation in this business is very real, and the LO runs that risk probably as much as anybody in that trifecta between mortgage, title, and the real estate agent. I think it often depends on the personality of that group, right? You're sometimes beholden to the real estate agent who has a control and command, perhaps philosophy around managing that transaction. But getting in lockstep with them, doing the clear, crisp communication that you want to do to assuage fears through the process, just be there in that auto response fashion, be there to make sure that that process manages. It's all about pull through on this, right? Once it goes through, and this is a great way to facilitate that. I think so what it does for our customers is it helps establish trust sooner in the process. Right. And without that, it's hard to get credible and develop that rapport. But once they do, they realize that referral network through that agent is multiplicative, right? It's going to go and go and go.
I love it. This is really great. So what can you tell us about the future of video? Because I feel like anybody who's not leveraging video in their business, this is like the ship is sailing, and you're either going to be on it or you'll be on the dock. So what does the near future look like?
For video is, I think the video for marketing is continue. Forums like this, it's going to continue as the medium by which we consume content, right? It's just, we know it works. For relationship building, it's doing it in a simple way, working where the LO works, working where the salesperson works, making it easy to interoperate between a mobile device, Outlook, Gmail, all the CRM systems, but still have that common system of record, that tracking, that log of what's happened, so you can manage that customer journey. So continue to improve that environment. That's one of our big drum beats. And then add capabilities that just make it easy for people to connect. We do a lot of response type videos where an LO can send something and then a customer or consumer can respond via video. So creating that trust and that forum by which there is that open communication will continue to be the direction that BombBomb heads, and then make it easy, right? Automation. Sometimes LOs might need a little encouragement, so we have a capability called Prompt that will actually say, hey, it's time to do this based on what we're seeing. So we marry automation with that human aspect.
Yeah, I love little push. I call them love nudges.
A nudge is the right word.
Right?
Love nudge is better.
Love nudge. It's like, hey, it's time to reach out to this person and say hello.
And still use video. So
love that.
Cool.
I love what you guys do.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
this has been fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Website is bombbomb.com?
You got it.
What happens when you go through an airport and somebody asks, who do you work for?
We're pretty quiet. We can just say BB. We're pretty simple folks. So
we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it too much.
Anywhere the FAA is, we don't talk about it.
The brand has phenomenal cachet. It's so fun. The brand's great. The people are so great. The culture of the organization, we're in a hyper growth mode. So in real estate, we're becoming more and more known. My goal and objective is to make mortgage that next great vertical for us. We believe believe it is. We have 5 of the top 10 lenders that are rolling out BombBomb in a variety of forms and fashion, and we've got a ton that we're talking to. So it's a pretty exciting time for us in the organization.
I love that. Congratulations on
Thank
all
you.
of your success and future success. If you want to check out some great videos, I mean, they are in the video business, so my expectations very high around what they produce, but go to their Facebook page, BombBomb, just search under pages, you'll see it right at the top, watch their videos, be inspired, because you guys really have so much fun, and your culture just comes straight through.
It's good to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. So check it out, bombbomb.com, just don't say that at the airport. Richard, thank you again for your time, much appreciated. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of LendTech Briefing. We will see you next time, and for now, this video is a wrap.
Oh.